The morning sun crawled slowly over Christiansburg, painting gold streaks across the sea's restless face. The air was rich with salt, smoke from morning fires, and the scent of roasted plantain. The waves crashed below the old castle, the same walls that had seen centuries of power, pain, and prayer. In a quiet compound near the castle, a young girl named Abina Merekwa Ofori sat beside a cracked clay pot, scrubbing laundry with silent determination. Her face was delicate but strong, her eyes bright and searching, the kind of eyes that seemed to hold both wonder and sadness. She belonged to the Ofori family, known traders and devout Methodists, respected in Christiansburg society. But Abina was not treated like family. She was the mistake that refused to disappear, the daughter born out of wedlock, the shame no one wanted to claim. So, 20 years before, along the line, her mother, Adwa Ofori, had once been the pride of the house, beautiful, educated, and said to marry a wealthy merchant's son. But one night, her heart led her astray to a fisherman named Kojo Teta, and by dawn, her fate was sealed. When her pregnancy was discovered, the Oforis nearly disowned her. Kojo vanished before the child was born, leaving Adwa to face the storm alone. When Abina arrived into the world, her grandmother Madam Efwa Ofori, the family matriarch, declared, "This child will bring ruin to our name. She must never be seen as one of us." And 20 years now the story continues. And so, from birth, Abina was hidden. She slept in the servants' quarters and ate from cracked bowls while her half-siblings dined at the family table. She was the invisible shadow of the Ofori household, loved by no one but Auntie Oreba, the old housemaid who had raised her with kindness. Abina found comfort in only one place, the sea. Every evening, when the family's lights dimmed and the hymns faded, she would slip through the back gate barefoot and walk toward the shore. The sea never turned her away. Its waves welcomed her like an old friend. Sometimes she would talk to it about her loneliness, her dreams, her fears. And though she never told anyone, she often thought the sea answered her. The fisherman knew her well. They called her Abina the Sea Child. One of them, an elderly man with skin like polished ebony and eyes full of ancient knowing, often waited for her at dusk. His name was Nane Bosampra. He was said to have once been a great fisherman, but now he lived quietly in a small hut by the rocks, speaking to the waves more than to people. He would tell her, "The sea remembers everything, my child. It remembers who is pure and who has lied to it." Abina loved listening to him. Sometimes, he would tell stories about the gods of the deep, mummy water, the spirits of the tide, and the sacred bond between the people of Christiansburg and the ocean. Before the white men came, he would whisper, "The sea was our covenant. We gave it respect, and it gave us life. But the city has forgotten. And when a city forgets, the sea sends a messenger to remind it." He would then look at her strangely, as though seeing something in her she could not yet see herself. On the morning of her 16th birthday, Abina woke with a strange feeling. She had dreamt of standing in the middle of the ocean, the water calm and glowing blue beneath her feet. From the mist emerged a woman, tall, radiant, her hair flowing like liquid silver. Her eyes shone like the moon. The woman called softly, "Abina. Abina Merekwa. You are chosen. The tide will rise with your name." Abina woke up breathless, heart pounding. On her right wrist, she saw a faint swelling mark, a pattern that looked like waves. It shimmered faintly in the light. Terrified, she ran to Auntie Oreba. "Auntie, look. Something happened to me." The old woman gasped and grabbed her wrist. "Yeah. Abina. Cover it. Don't let your grandmother see this, she will call you possessed." But the more Abina tried to wash it off, the brighter the mark became when her skin touched water. That evening, she ran to the beach to find Nane Bosampra. The old man saw the mark and fell silent for a long moment. Then, in a low voice, he said, "It has begun." "What has begun?" Abina asked nervously. "The call of the sea. It has chosen you, Abina. You carry its mark. You will either bring balance or destruction." Abina shook her head, frightened. "I don't want to bring anything. I just want to live in peace." The old man smiled sadly. "The sea does not ask what you want, my child. It asks who you are." A few days later, Christiansburg began to buzz with rumors. People whispered that strange things were happening near the shore, waves rising when no wind blew, nets glowing underwater, and a young girl seen standing at the edge of the sea at midnight. One neighbor, a gossip named Auntie Comfort, carried the tale straight to Madame Efua Ofori. "Madam, forgive me, but I saw that girl, your granddaughter, standing in the rain by the beach. She was talking to the sea. Talking. And the water was moving like it was answering her." That evening, Madame Efua stormed into the servants' quarters, her face twisted with rage. "Abina Merekwa," she shouted. "You bring shame into this house again. I hear people say you call spirits at the sea. What evil have you brought here?" Abina fell to her knees, trembling. "It's not true, Nana. I only..." Before she could finish, a sharp slap echoed through the room. "Silence. You are not one of us. From today, you are no longer an Ofori. Leave this house before sunrise, and never come back." Her mother, Adwa, stood frozen in the corner, tears rolling down her cheeks. She opened her mouth to speak, but her mother's glare silenced her. That night, Abina packed her few belongings, a wrapper, a wooden comb, and the small seashell necklace Nana Bosompro had given her. She walked barefoot through the quiet streets of Christiansburg, the sound of the sea following her like a ghost. She didn't know where she was going. She only knew she couldn't stay. For days, Abina wandered through Accra, hungry, frightened, and alone. She slept under market stalls at Makola, begged for food near Kenshi, and fetched water for strangers to earn coins. But wherever she went, the sea's presence followed her. When she passed the Coral Lagoon, its black waters shimmered faintly, as if recognizing her. One night, exhausted, she sat on a bench near the lagoon, staring at the moon's reflection. "Why me?" she whispered. "Why was I born just to be hated?" A voice behind her said softly, "Because some destinies are born from rejection." She turned sharply. A young man stood there, about 20, wearing a faded University of Ghana hoodie. His eyes were gentle, his smile calm. "My name is Kwesi Nati," he said. "I've seen you sleeping near the market. You don't look like someone who belongs out here." Abina looked away. "I have nowhere else to go." He studied her for a moment, then nodded. "My sister runs a food joint at Kenshi. Come. You can help her there. You'll be safe." And just like that, the course of her life shifted once again. Kwesi's sister, Oma Nati, was a stern but warm woman who ran a small chop bar called Oma's Kitchen near the Kenshi lorry station. The smell of soup and fried fish filled the air from morning till night. When Kwesi brought Abina, Oma frowned. Another stray. I hope you're not trouble." "I'll walk," Abina promised. "I just need a place to stay." Oma sighed and handed her a rag. "Then start by cleaning those tables." Days turned into weeks. Abina proved herself hardworking, humble, and kind. Soon Oma began to smile when she saw her. "You have good hands, Abina," she said one evening. "Maybe life has a plan for you after all." Kwesi often visited to help with deliveries. He and Abina grew close, sharing quiet jokes, stolen glances, and long conversations under the flickering lights of the city. But strange things continued to happen. One night, when the power went out, Abina's hands glowed faintly blue as she poured water into a basin. Kwesi saw it, stunned. "Abina, how did you do that?" She looked terrified. "I don't know. Please don't tell anyone." Kwesi hesitated, then nodded. "I won't. But maybe it means something. Maybe you're special." Abina looked down at her glowing wrist and whispered, "Special feels like a curse." One stormy night, Abina dreamed again. The same woman appeared, her eyes brighter, her voice echoing like thunder over waves. "The greed of Accra has poisoned the sea. The spirits are angry. You must restore the balance, or the city will drown in its own shadow." Abina awoke with a scream. The mark on her wrist burned like fire. The next morning, word spread through Kenshi and Christiansburg. Fishermen from Jamestown had vanished after a strange whirlpool appeared offshore. The elders said it was a curse. That evening, Nana Bosampra appeared at Omo's kitchen, his eyes wild but clear. "The sea is crying, child," he told her. "You cannot hide from your destiny any longer." Abina shook her head. "No. I didn't ask for this. I just want peace." The old man laid a hand on her shoulder. "Peace will come only after the storm. And you, Abina, are the storm's heart." As thunder roared in the distance, Abina's fate, and the fate of Accra, began to unfold. The next few days in Accra were unlike any the city had seen in years. Fishermen refused to set sail. The sky over Jamestown stayed grey even at noon, and the sea, usually a friend to the people, grew restless and dark. Rumors spread like wildfire, "The sea goddess is angry." Others whispered, "Someone has offended the spirits." And then, quietly, in back alleys and trotro stations, another name began to surface, Abina Mirekwa. At Omar's kitchen, business was slow. The heavy rains kept people indoors, and thunder rolled across the rooftops like a warning. Abina tried to keep her head down, focusing on her chores, but strange looks followed her wherever she went. A customer, half drunk, pointed at her once and muttered, "Isn't that the sea girl from Christiansburg? The one they say cursed the fisherman?" Omar's face hardened. "Out of my shop," she barked, throwing a rag at him. The man laughed and stumbled away, but his words hung in the air like smoke. When night fell, Abina sat outside, staring at the dark horizon. The mark on her wrist shimmered faintly with every flash of lightning. Kwesi came and sat beside her. "You're quiet," he said softly. Abina didn't answer for a while. Then she murmured, "Do you believe what they say?" Kwesi sighed. "I believe people fear what they don't understand. But I also believe there's something different about you, Abina, something big." She looked at him, her eyes glistening. "Different has only ever brought me pain." Kwesi smiled faintly. "Sometimes pain is just purpose being born." Thunder boomed overhead, and the sound seemed to echo those words. By the following week, the situation worsened. 3 boats had vanished off the Jamestown coast. Their bodies were never found, but strange carvings, swirling symbols identical to the mark on Abina's wrist, washed up on the sand. The priest at Christiansburg Chapel began holding all-night prayer meetings, blaming the disappearances on demonic forces hiding among us. Soon, someone linked the symbols to "that rejected girl who talks to the sea." Within days, people began showing up outside Omar's kitchen, whispering, pointing, crossing themselves. Omar, worried, confronted Abina. "My sister, I've defended you, but the people are afraid. If they think you bring trouble, they could turn violent. Maybe you should leave Accra for a while." Abina shook her head, tears in her eyes. "Where will I go, Auntie Omar? Even my own family doesn't want me. Oma sighed deeply. Then we pray for protection. But that night, as rain poured and thunder cracked across the city, Abina's dreams returned, stronger, louder, impossible to ignore. She stood again in the middle of the ocean. The water was glowing blue, the wind roaring around her. The mysterious woman, the same radiant figure, emerged from the waves. Her voice was no longer gentle. Child of water and flesh, the balance has been broken. The greed of men has poisoned my heart. You carry my mark, you must restore what was lost. Abina fell to her knees. I don't understand. What do you want from me? You were born of both land and sea, the woman said. Your father's blood binds you to the fisherman. But his bloodline carries a secret your family buried in shame. The woman raised her hand, and visions flashed before Abina's eyes. Kojo Teta, her father, standing before the sea at night, kneeling before the waves, whispering prayers. Behind him, the faint figure of a glowing woman, Mommy Water herself. Your father made a pact, the sea spirit said. A covenant to protect the waters and its people. But when he broke it and vanished, the curse passed to you. You are the bridge between the land and the deep. Abina screamed, clutching her head. No. I don't want this. The woman's voice echoed, fading into thunder. You cannot run from what you are, child. The tide will rise, with or without you. Abina woke up gasping for air, drenched in sweat. The mark on her wrist burned like fire, glowing bright blue. A jar of water beside her bed began to ripple, though the air was still. Kwesi burst into the room. Abina. What's happening? Before she could answer, the room filled with a sudden gust of wind. The water leapt out of the jar, swirling in midair like a living thing before splashing harmlessly onto the floor. Kwesi stared in disbelief. You're controlling it. Abina trembled. No, it's controlling me. They both looked at each other, and then, from outside, came screams. People were running through the streets. Bells were ringing from the chapel tower. A group of fishermen from Jamestown were carrying a limp body covered in seaweed. The body was Kojo Teta. The crowd gathered at the shore the next morning. The air was heavy with the smell of salt and sorrow. Kojo Teta, Abina's father, had been missing for 16 years. His skin was pale, his eyes half open, but he was breathing. Nana Bosompra was there, his face solemn. He is neither dead nor alive, he murmured. The sea returned him for a reason. Abina pushed through the crowd and knelt beside him. Father. Kojo's lips trembled. His eyes opened weakly. He looked at her wrist, the glowing mark, and tears filled his eyes. Abina, he whispered. The covenant, it lives in you. Please, she cried. Tell me what's happening. He tried to speak, but coughed violently. Then, in a faint whisper, he said. Your grandmother knew. She knew what I did. The Ofori name was built on sea promises and stolen blessings. Now the sea wants them back. And with that, his eyes rolled back, and his body went still. The waves suddenly roared higher, slamming against the rocks as if mourning him. People screamed and ran. Abina stared at the sea, the truth crashing through her heart. Her family's rejection was not just out of shame, but out of fear. They had hidden something dark, and she was the consequence. Over the next few days, the mark on Abina's wrist began to spread up her arm, glowing faintly even under sunlight. When she touched water, it responded, rippling, lifting, forming shapes. Kwesi became her only comfort. Together, they visited Nana Bosompra again. The old man listened silently, then nodded. I won the Oforis years ago. Their wealth came from breaking the sea's covenant. They were to offer tribute every generation, not blood, but service to the people. Your father refused, and now the sea claims its due. Abina's voice trembled. What does it want me to do? Restore balance, the old man said simply. You must go to the shrine of the tide beneath the cliffs of Jamestown. There, you will face the spirit and learn your destiny. But be warned, the path demands sacrifice. My brothers and sisters, if this story has touched your heart, subscribe and ring the storyteller's bell, for part 2 is coming soon.
Did you see the stories they posted today?
Oh yes, I clicked the bell so I don't miss them.